Tonight's episode of the 31st Lap Podcast is brought to you by DirtTrackDigest.com. If it's on dirt, it's on Dirt Track Digest.
This is the 31st Lap Podcast, recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now, your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the 31st Lap Podcast, episode number 237 on deck, if you can believe that. We're that far along already. We've got Chad Trout joining us here right off the top of the show. We're also going to be catching up with Jim Olin a little bit later on to talk about the upcoming Finger Lakes Speedworld indoor show, all the action concluding down in Volusia with Tim McCready walking away with his first championship. Got a couple wins down there. We'll dive into that a little bit. We'll look at Stu Friesen's run in the truck series as well as we move through the course of our time together this evening. But jumping right out of the blocks, we've got the one and only Chad Trout joining us on the line. I bumped into Chad down at Motorama, which we were at over the weekend. It was good to catch up with Chad for a few minutes. 410 racer from down in Pennsylvania, Lincoln, Williams Grove. Regular travels for Chad through the course of 2017. Going to be back in that same rotation in 2018. Jimmy Aldrich ended up introducing us. So it was nice to meet you, Chad. Nice to have you on the show tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
For sure. The season at this point, you guys aren't too far from getting some cars going around the tracks. How far before you actually get out and turn some laps at speed?
Well, our first race is scheduled at Lincoln this Saturday, but
right.
The weather's pretty much calling for a 100% chance of rain, so it don't look like this weekend's going to happen. So we'll have to try it again next week.
Why does that track always seem to try to get started so early? It seems like right out of the blocks, they almost know for sure that they're going to lose the first couple races due to weather. But is it just the fact that everybody wants to get back to it?
Well, it's pretty much. I think they do it for the fans.
Yeah.
If you ever go to opening day at Lincoln, you get lucky and you get a 50, 60 degree day. That place will be standing room only, and it's a madhouse. It's for all the teams, but the fans pack the place, and I'm sure the track can make some money.
They do love it. I mean, every year they start early, and I know in my conversations with Mike Mallett, who's been on the show a jillion times since he refocused his efforts, we've had the same conversation about how important it is to be part of those races starting so early in the season. On the off chance that those do get in, it's a mob scene. There's thousands upon thousands of people there to watch those races early in the year, and that momentum turns into some good luck for some tracks that they can get those races in.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, even the tracks that wait a couple more weeks, they make out really good. It seems like each track, the first two races they get in, they're packed, and then and then everybody kind of got their fix for the winter, and then they kind of wait till it warms up to come back.
Sure. What's your expectations on this season going forward? You're hired to drive. It's a tough market down there to get a ride and to keep a ride. What's your plan so far going into 2018?
We're going to concentrate mainly on Lincoln Speedway. We ended up third in points there last year.
Right.
And that was a big improvement from what we had the year before. We had a new owner last year. Our owner passed away early in the season, and we kind of just worked through ourselves to get through the end of the year. And 3/4 of the way through the year, a friend of the owners who passed away, he bought out the team, and over the winter we really upgraded our equipment. So I have pretty high expectations. Got a good bunch of guys that stick with me, and we'll see what happens.
So the third place, if that's the case, with doing the upgrades, then the third place, did you rise above expectations for 2017? Did you hit what you expected, or were you realistically hoping for a track championship out of the 2017 effort?
No, I was actually 2 years ago. We were 18th in points. We struggled. Time trial shows, we struggled, and then last year we actually did really good on the time trial shows, and that's where we picked up a lot of our points. Mm-hmm. A lot of our competitors did not fare out as well when we had the big time trial shows. A couple of them didn't make the show, and we made every show that we ran all year, and we missed one race, and that was the week that our owner passed away. But we're set to have a good season. Just kind of up to me and the mechanic to get it done.
How big is a 410 race team down there for an operation like yours? You see some of these guys that run with really, really deep pit help, and some guys have one or two people that are taking care of the operation both at the track and through the course of the week. How big is the operation that you guys are running down there that's leading to third place in championship contention at a deep track like Lincoln?
We actually don't have a really big team at all, and it's kind of it's a bunch of different people that. I mean, we have one owner who owns everything except for me. I own the truck and trailer. When the original owner passed away, they sold the truck and trailer right away, and then the equipment got bought out from Randy Wade, Overlander. Then as far as myself, we still didn't have a truck and trailer, so I purchased a truck and trailer to use. So it's, we don't have any full-time mechanics. We have our mechanic works at Ryder Racing's engines through the week, and he helps us on the weekends, and everybody else is a volunteer. So we don't have, the big high-dollar team. We have 2 complete cars, 2 motors, and 1 spare chassis. But it's not a big high-dollar team like a lot of them you see. But at Lincoln Speedway, you really only have maybe 3 or 4 big high-dollar teams, and the rest are your average guy. So
your operation is more the rule than the exception, so to say.
Yeah.
The competition at Lincoln, it really all over Pennsylvania. The 410 fields are so deep. How hard is that nut to crack? I mean, you've got to know so much about the car. You've got to have good people around you that are willing to work on the cars and invest the time to make sure that the maintenance program's up to speed. Because if you're not up on that part, then you're already starting behind the 8 ball. You talked about having the gentleman from Ryder Race Engine, somebody who knows what they're doing in terms of the power plants and stuff. You've got to have the stuff coming together so that you can be competitive in that 410 scene because it is so deep in Pennsylvania.
Oh, definitely. The competition is so tough. This is only my 3rd year in 410 competition. Actually, this will be going into my 4th year. I haven't got a win in the 410 yet, but we're really consistent. We had a lot of top 5s, top 10s last year. I think we only dropped out of 2 races all season, and that's what really gave us our good points finished. It's hard once you get into the handicap starting positions and you're consistent. We're starting 8th to 12th every week. With the competition being so tough, it's hard to crack the top 3 cars. Sure.
That being the case, if it's so early before the 410s, I'm assuming that you spent a lot of time in the 360s. What was the biggest learning curve that you had to get past moving into the 410s?
A lot of it is aerodynamics. You get into, the 410s with the bigger wings, and they respond so much quicker. You get guys crossing in front of you. They take the air off the nose of the car. The car pushes out across the track. It's just a lot of the air and just throttle response. I mean, I ran 358s there for years, got a track championship. I have like 15 wins, I think. But it's nothing compared to a 410. When you in a 410, it's just a totally different animal.
Does the experience in the 410 now make you a better 360 racer because it feels like everything happens slower? A 358 racer because everything feels like it happens slower when you get back into the cars?
I think it does. I mean, when you race at higher speed and then you get into a slower car, you do pick up on things a little bit faster. And also a big help is I'm working with a mechanic who will, I'll get out of the car and will say, hey, listen, this is what you did wrong. Maybe you ought to try doing this. And then also helps me I put that knowledge when I get back into the 360. That helps also. Sure.
The feeling of driving a 410 for the first time, what was that like?
Oh, it was crazy. I had, the first couple of races, I had a hard time keeping the front end on the ground, especially earlier in the season when the tracks are heavy, early in the day. You can't, when rolling starts, you can't roll them slow. You try to keep a slow pace. As soon as you hammer the gas down, you stand the front end right up. So there's just small things like, you got to keep your pace up on starts to prevent that. And if you pull a wheelie, you're going to mess the rest of the field up because you got to let it down and it bunches everybody up. So,
right.
You know, and it also, you get a nice heavy track, it'll wear your arms out really quick. The G-forces in the corners with the big winger so much between your neck and your arms, you know, by the end of 25 laps, you're ready to get out.
Right. You were down at Motorama in Harrisburg. We were down there. We bumped into each other actually at the RC track, not even in any part of the show facility, looking at the racing stuff that was happening through the course of the weekend. What brought you to Motorama?
I race the off-road Motorama every year with my friends. I used to race at Bumps and Jumps in the wintertime, do the off-road truck things on Sunday, and you know, when I got the 410 ride, it just took up so much of my time that I don't have time to do that anymore. But I still manage. I sign up for Motorama and do the off-road with my friends every year and make a fun weekend out of it. And I saw the Mud Bosses racing and ran into a friend of mine over there and started hanging out over there and checking them things out, and they're pretty awesome.
You gonna get one?
I actually already have one.
You got one?
I have. The wife got me a Slash the other year for Christmas, so I'm halfway there.
Yeah, you've already jumped most of the curve. That's for sure. Yeah, Motorama's talking about having the series back. We've got the race coming up at Small Addictions on the 3rd of March. We're going to be at the Motorsports Expo in Syracuse. It's March 10th and 11th. Run on the concrete with rubber tires, so that'll really put handling at a premium, making sure that those guys can handle everything. In terms of Motorama and finding stuff for the 410 team, is everything then settled and ready to go? There's not a whole lot of preparation left, especially given that you're supposed to have a race coming up on Saturday. I would assume that you're pretty much ready to go.
Yeah, we're just organizing the trailer yet and starting to work on our second car, which is 3/4 of the way done. So, yeah, we're ready to go for Saturday, and we'll have to watch the weather.
Now, we talked a little bit about Lincoln, but you also run Williams Grove and make periodic starts in Susquehanna, right?
Yeah, we run the Grove on occasion when the schedule fits and when the budget fits. With having only 2 motors, I don't want to miss any races at Lincoln because how well we run there. So
Sure.
We kind of pick and choose when we want to go to the Grove and what the races pay. And then same with Susquehanna. Racing Sundays are really tough with the guys I have helping me because, you know, getting home at midnight, 1 o'clock on a work night is pretty tough. So we kind of pick and choose when we want to do that.
How long does it take to get where you consider yourself good or consistent at Lincoln? The track is the competition level there. We've already hit on that, but also, you know, you hit on a few things about how the cars are so much different running in the 410s with bigger wings. You can lose the nose so much easier. The throttle response is so much more intense. To come out and go from 18th to 3rd isn't just that. It's not just equipment. You know, you've got a season, an additional season worth of experience under your belt. How long does it take to where you knock off the rust or get past that learning curve in the 410s at Lincoln to the point where you can consider yourself consistent?
Well, I don't know if you can put a time schedule on it because sometimes I still feel rusty. The majority of our improvement came when we got Brandon Weibly from Riders. Mm-hmm. He brought a lot of experience to the table. And I've been racing for 20 years, and I've never really had a mechanic to work with me and help me on my driving style and, you know, tell me what I'm doing wrong. I've always done my own setups and, you know, what I think the car's doing and what it's doing might be 2 different things, especially when you get to the speed of a 410.
Sure.
You know, drivers in there just reacting a lot of time and not really thinking about, you know, why the car's doing what it's doing. And you take an experienced mechanic, he can watch the car and say, hey, you're making the car do that. That's why it feels that way. So, you know, I give credit to Brandon for a lot of our improvement.
How much of those conversations that you have with Brandon, how much of that is him trying to adjust the car to you and then adjust you to the car?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, you know, it works 2 ways. You know, we don't argue very much. We're both pretty cool-headed. But, you know, there's things he tries to do to the car, and I'm like, I just don't like it. You know, the throttle stuff, you know, he'll adjust it the way he wants it, and I'm like, I don't like it that way. So during the week, I'll change it back. So it's it's a little give and take there, but we get along really good, and he's usually right. He's probably right more often than I am.
So the setup side of things really improved quite a bit when he came in there. Was it just getting a fresh set of eyes on the car, or was he doing something that you never even thought about in terms of shock packages and things like that?
Yeah, he helped us out with shocks. The biggest problem the first year I ran, we struggled really, really bad. And, I was at the point where I didn't know if I could do it anymore. And then he came along, and, within the first couple of weeks, he found what I feel our problem was. We were running too tall a shock on the left front corner of the car. Mm-hmm. I was always complaining the car wouldn't turn on entry, and the shock was bottoming out too soon. So, him just coming on board and making some shock changes made a drastic difference.
So we've got the car to the point where it handles now. We've upgraded some of the equipment. We've got a truck and trailer so that we can get the car to the track, which is always a huge upgrade. We've got good mechanics, good help. So what's the expectations? I know it's only February here, but what's the expectation for the duration of this year, focusing primarily at Lincoln? What's the goal? I mean, obviously we want to win races and finally break through for number one in the 410s, but what's the long-term goal for this year?
I need to get a win for the team. I mean, it's been 3 years. I'm in a really bad dry spell, so we'd like to get our first win and hopefully more than just one. And top two in points. We made it to third. We got 2 more spots to go. So if there's some really good competition, I think Brian Monteith, he's not going to roll over easy. So no. It's going to be hard to get them top 2 spots, but we're going to keep digging, and we got 2 more spots to shoot for.
How about points beyond? I mean, I know it's rare that you can get a racer to talk about anything beyond the next race, so to say, which is always good to have that laser focus. But you guys have got to have some sort of idea where you want this team to go and where you want this conversation that you guys have got collectively to evolve to, be it Lincoln and be it long term with the team, or be it grander scale. What is it that you hope to accomplish with the team as a whole?
We just got to, we're looking for sponsors, and we got to get to the point where we can race more often. The more you can race, the better you get. Sure. So, right now, we're set to race at least one night a week, every week, and, we just got to keep digging, and hopefully we can get a couple more races in. I'm not sure how many races we ran last year, probably around 30, 35, something like that. So, we can get up to 40, 45 races. I'm happy with racing local, but if we can make some more shows at Susquehanna and more shows at the Grove, it'll make us better.
There's no replacement for seat time. We've said that on the show 1,000 times, and we'll say it 1,000 more before we're done. But there never is a replacement for seat time, and also that also gives you the opportunity to get noticed a little bit more. If you're adding an extra 10 to 15 races to your schedule, that's a 10 or 15 opportunities to be in front of new eyes, and who knows what that can recruit.
Yeah, especially if you can start running up front those races. So, even though you go to the races, you got to finish up front, or it's not helping you out a whole lot.
How difficult is it to find support in that part of Pennsylvania? We've talked about our area being so dried out. It used to be that every repair shop and corner gas station had a race car of some sort, be it a drag racing car or a street stock or a modified. It had something there. But then, with turns in the economy and evolution of time and things like that, a lot of that grassroots support went away. So our big block modifieds up here, they've got an astronomical cost to them. So there's only a select number of people that can afford to play that game. We've seen the crate sportsman really take off. What's the sponsor atmosphere like down there, and how easy is it to get somebody to support a team compared to what it was like 10, 15, 20 years ago?
It's still really hard. The biggest problem is the amount of money that you need from a sponsor now. Mm-hmm. I'm sure years ago you were getting $1,500, $500, and that's hard to do anymore with, when you're dropping $500 a night on tires, that don't go very far. Right. So, you got to take what you can get, and that's why you got to select how many races you run.
Sure.
I'm amazed how many cars can race, 2 nights a week every week, and the fuel bill and the tire bill. I don't see how they can do it. So that's why we kind of take our team and limit it to what we can afford. And we're not out here trying to make anybody go bankrupt. We're trying to race. It's a hobby, expensive hobby, but we're also trying to have fun at it. So we just got to race within our means.
I'm a little surprised that it's that difficult, so to say, because the 410s are so loved all over Pennsylvania. But again, it's, as you said, it's a hobby. By the same token, being that you drive a 410 and the track that you're at races 410s, do you find yourselves at all drivers versus track where you're battling for the same sponsor dollars? If you've got a track and that you've got a company that's interested in racing as a whole, it's going to do more for the track to have that company involved with the track versus having that company involved with one individual race car, whereas the race team is looking at it completely opposite. If they've got money to invest instead of helping the racetrack, let's put it in the race car and make a better race car. Do you find that battle being real, or is that not really come across the table?
I've actually came across that once or twice.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a big issue. Face it, if you love racing, you're going to sponsor a car majority of the time. Mm-hmm. A lot of sponsors are friends, or know somebody, especially a name. A lot
Sure.
of the young drivers that have a name with them, they always end up with the big sponsors. It's just how it is, and usually if they're big enough to sponsor a big race at the track, they also sponsor a car. I think maybe some of the tracks dip into that. They see the big sponsor on the car and they may go after them, and but it's just the business that we're in.
Are you going to be doing much then in the way of the 358s or 360s this year in different parts, or are you going to focus almost strictly on the 410?
I race 358 for Dan Mansberger at the Williams Grove only.
Mm-hmm.
He likes racing Friday nights, so I believe it's like 13 races a year. Mm-hmm. And he don't necessarily run all of them. He has a father that's in bad health, so last year we missed a couple races because he was taking care of his dad. So we just mess around with that a little bit whenever he wants to race, and other than that, I just stick with the 410.
Gotcha. We've talked a lot about the team, and we've talked about all the changes and stuff that have gone on. Is there anybody here? I can't believe it's already been almost 25 minutes. Is there anybody that you wanted to make mention of that helps the team out that you couldn't do this without? I'm sure you've got sponsors and owners and crew guys that would love to hear their name.
Oh yeah, I got a really good owner, Randy Oberlander.
Mm-hmm.
He actually lives in Florida right now, trying to move back up here, but
Right.
He's been a great owner for us. And I got a guy that helps me at the shop every night. I go over, AJ Smith. He does my tires, and Brandon Weibly. He's my motor mechanic and the setup mechanic, and got some good sponsors with Steve Lloyd at Jiffy Lube of Mechanicsburg and Carlisle, and a bunch of other people came on board recently, but we do the best we can, and I got a lot of good people around me.
Well, Chad, I appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out for a little while and telling us about your neck of the woods. We'll certainly try to keep in touch for sure. I want to know how things go. If you do, on the off chance and defy the odds, good luck this weekend. I was looking through your Facebook page, and I saw some pictures of the white car, and I saw some pictures of the red car. When we were talking in Pennsylvania, you wanted a mud boss that looked like your 410 car. Which car should I be focusing on in terms of the artwork?
The red 1X.
The red 1X. That sounds good. Was that picture that was on the page of that cool 360 degree camera? Was that from Motorama, or was that a different show?
That was from Dirt Track in New York.
Gotcha. Cool.
I believe so.
Very neat. I like that. It was neat. Sharp looking cars too. Well, I'll be in touch with some of your artwork side of things for the Mud Boss, and otherwise, man, good luck with the season, and wish you the best. Hopefully you get that first win, and with many more to come after.
All right. Thank you very much.
Chad, man, I appreciate it. We'll see you soon.
Yep. Have a good one.
Take care. There goes Chad Trout, driver of that number 1X. Good to catch up with him for a little while. Cool dude. Met him, talked with him for a little while, and it was fun down there at Motorama for sure. We had RC Derby down there. There was 8 scale, 10 scale, go-karts, ATVs, dirt bikes. I mean, if you named it, they raced it indoors at that gigantic facility. It was just off 81 in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Motorama. It's been around since 1978. And now we're going to turn our attention back home. We got Finger Lake Speedworld coming up on March 3rd and 4th. And that's who we're going to talk. That's what we're going to talk with Jim Olin about. And then after that, we got to get Mike Mallett or Dean Reynolds or Jeremy Corcoran, one of those guys, on to come on the air and talk about Motorsports Expo, which is coming up right around the corner, March 10th and 11th, going to be at the New York State Fairgrounds. I navigated away from the page. Darn it! I lost what I was going to work on next. Let's see if this will let us get back to it. Just wanted to turn our attention briefly before we get to Jim Olin. Florida, Volusia Speedway, Tim McCready winning the championship down there. He had to do some work the last night of racing as well, coming from deep in the field, 27th, and then drove up to pick up the win in the 50-lap finale for the dirt car modifieds. And that was his second win during the course of the week. That gave him his first championship down there. That was an exciting win for him. He won on part of the doubleheader night earlier in the week with Tyler Seary also coming up with a win during that one. It was an incredible run. Tim McCready winning the World of Outlaws late model race earlier in the week as well. Matt Shepard won the third of the 4 features that were contested down there, and so that puts a good feather in the cap for Matt Shepard to come away with the win in that. Can't go wrong there. And Stu Friesen, who was a factor throughout all the modified action that was happening down there at Volusia, also had some good luck and some good showings on the big track in Daytona running with the truck team. He had got as high as second a couple times, but unfortunately got tangled up in a wreck there late in the going. It was relegated to 27th overall, but nonetheless, he had a great run down there. Certainly gained a little bit of respect as we welcome Jim Olin to the show.
I'm here.
There's Jim. Jim, how are you?
Yeah, I'm here. Oh, I'm excellent. How are you doing?
We're doing okay. I'm looking forward to Finger Lake Speedworld. Was juggling some messages today, actually, talking about that, some different cars that were coming and looking for information on arrival times. How's the phone traffic been for you? It's a little over a week away at this point, so I imagine business is probably picking up.
Yeah, it was. It's been just crazy. It actually picked up quite a bit the other day. We put a couple of posts up and got a contact from Wheatsport Speedway, so they're in for a spot at the show this year.
Awesome.
And just talked to the Kolasek family today. They're bringing out a 305 Sprinter that's going to be displayed with the Patriot Sprint Tour down there in center court. So at least 2 sprint cars, possibly 3 coming down to the center court area this year. So filling up pretty quick.
Center court is going to be pretty busy with the sounds of things. You've got Land of Legends Raceway. Weedsport is going to be involved. You've got the Patriot Sprint Tour down there with a couple cars. You're going to have people tripping over race cars in center court.
That's a good thing, though. Again, that's what we wanted to do. Is we're on the tear to pack that mall full this year, and we're doing it. So, got to spend an interesting morning with Jamie Moore up to the Dirt Hall of Fame there as we're getting ready to move his prized possession out of the museum and down to the mall for the show there. And I'll let you go ahead and tell the listeners all what that's all about.
So there's going to be two vintage cars there. One of them last year, or was it last year that the Gary Blue car was there?
Yes, the Gary Blue car, the Batmobile was there, and that was actually the last time it was out in public up here because now it's gone. It's out on tour. They took the car and put it back together, and they're touring it around the United States there. Gary Blue is actually selling his book. So cool. That's what they brought the car out for. The Fiorillo family came and got the car and shipped it out. So
that sort of set the precedent to have a couple legendary entries. And this year, we're going to have Pat Ward's number 42. That was the show car, a 1986 show car that's on display at the Dirt Motorsports Hall of Fame. That's going to be trucked over, and that's going to be appearing along with one of Jim Champine's Green Machines, which is, that's 2 pretty iconic pieces of racing history right there, and they're going to be side by side, one from the asphalt world and one from the dirt world.
Yeah, having and that's Jimmy Champine's Radical Offset car. That car is the car that changed the direction for super modified racing. That was the first car to really have an outreaching offset motor on it like that. We're also going to have some videos running at Jamie's display, because Jamie Moore will be there with the car most of the weekend signing autographs and stuff.
Nice.
We had hero cards made for him and everything.
Very cool.
So you'll be able to see what was going on in the late 70s at Oswego Speedway and when that car actually ran. So, and I don't know if you knew it or not, but several other drivers campaigned that car as well. It was Jimmy Champagne built that car in 1975. It was ran in 1976 by Steve Gioia. He was the first one to run that car, and he only ran it once. And then Champagne ran it part of the 77 season, and he didn't run a full season with it until 1978. Then the car was actually sold to Norm Foster in 1982, and Mike McLaughlin drove that car.
Wow.
So that car has definitely been around the block. Then in 1983, Jamie Moore purchased it from Norm Foster, and he's had it ever since. Jamie actually ran that car right up till 1991, I believe.
Yeah, I knew that car ran late.
A lot of laps on
and it's still in beautiful shape. I mean, they did a great job in terms of the restoration on it.
Yeah, it was a lot of work to restore that car. They put it back to its original glory, because obviously Jamie had made it his own car, and Mike McLaughlin made his own car when he had it. So, but it's it's a really pretty car, and it's going to be so cool to see it out there. And of course, you got Barry Kingsley bringing down his number 91 small block super modified from Oswego Speedway as well.
Very cool.
He will be set up somewhere near Jamie's car.
Right.
You know that Barry was down there for the first year that I ran it. He had the Oswego Speedway display set up, so welcome him back as well.
The turnout this year, it looks like it's pushing some pretty serious record numbers. I mean, this is the third year that you've had it, and it's you're starting to see some fruits from your labors.
Yeah, finally. I really, you have no idea how much I appreciate the support of the people who have been with us for all 3 years, and everybody, just keeps coming on board. And of course, Darryl Ruggles, he's going to bring his car out. He'll set up with Land of Legends.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they're going to bring Alicia's car out as well. So, I mean, those are Alicia and Darryl's daughter, Alicia Bay. She displayed the first year, but she was busy with the baby the second year, so they didn't bring out the car. But this year they're going to bring out, I believe they're bringing out both cars. So they've always supported the show. Patriot Sprint Tour, the CRSA sprints. We possibly have some entries coming from the NY6A Tour this year.
Oh, cool.
So we've got so much going on.
There's something going on front to back. The mall's going to be packed. Western New York Super Rod Association is going to be out there turning our attention to the drag racing side of things. GASA Racing Series is talking about bringing 5 or 6 cars out. South Butler Nostalgia Dragway is bringing a couple cars. So there's a solid representation of the drag racing community.
They're bringing 5.
Yeah.
I got a message from them today. They're planning on bringing 4, possibly 5 cars to the show.
Yep. That's a good turnout for them, and again, I mean, that's just the racing side of things. There's more than just that happening at Finger Lake Speedworld. The Demolition Derby community is going to be represented in the Hall of Wreckers. There's the Homemade Hall of Fame, and then there's the show and shine stuff with all sorts of street cars, street strip type stuff, muscle cars, and the vintage fire trucks that are going to be on display as well.
Yeah, I think that's the first. I don't know that I've ever seen a vintage fire truck or race car show before, but we geared a lot of stuff towards the kids. And are the adults going down there to climb all over a vintage fire truck? Probably not. It is still pretty cool stuff to see,
right?
But stuff to keep the kids interested, to go down there and check that out. And of course, along with the kids, don't forget we got Kyle Busch's number 18 NASCAR ride from Watkins Glen coming up to be displayed in front of the Great Outdoors store up in the west end of the mall. So that's a big one this year too.
The Derby contingent being represented. One of the guys that I talked to today that is bringing a car up is one of the 2-man extreme cars. I don't know if anybody's ever seen anything like this. The pedals are on one side of the car. The passenger runs the pedals, and the driver's side just has the steering wheel, and they have to share the shifter. So the two have to work as a team to drive the car. It's a roller, as I understand it, so it should be pretty easy to move it into position. But nonetheless, it's going to be something that's a little bit abstract from what people are used to seeing.
Yeah, that's different. Definitely different. Hopefully we get some, what we were lacking in last year, I can tell you with the Derby guys, was videos. So if any of the Derby guys just happen to be listening to 31st Lap, get them on there to bring some videos, bring some TVs. We'll set them up on, make sure that they have power and everything like that.
All right, we can make that happen. I got a bunch of video stuff at home too.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we can work on that. In terms of the schedule itself, everybody, if you're interested in bringing a car, you don't really have to do anything in terms of registration. You just have to shoot a message over, say, hey, we're on our way, we're coming. Everybody moves in after 6 o'clock on Friday night. The show runs during mall hours, Saturday and Sunday, with teardown being Sunday after 6 o'clock. Some of the other special events that are happening over there is part of Finger Lakes Speedworld. Small Addictions RC is going to have the Creekside 150 and RC Oval Race that features the Mud Bosses. They look just like the dirt modifieds that you're used to seeing at your weekly tracks. That's going to be on Saturday. There's going to be an RC Derby through the course of the day on Sunday. It's happening at noon. And then there's also the Pinup Grill competition, which is at 4 o'clock. And you said that they've drawn upwards of 30 individuals to try and come in and compete in that.
I believe I think they limit the entries to 30. I'm not really sure. I haven't heard a lot out of them. I just know that they're definitely coming, and that'll be a good part of the show. Also, don't forget Saturday, 3 p.m. we have the Kids Power Wheels racing. That's going to happen again, and there's no entry for that. You can bring your own Power Wheels vehicle. They will have a couple of them there, but not a lot. There are 3 different age groups. I don't have it right in front of me right now, but it's on the website. If you go to Facebook, you can check it out at Finger Lakes Speedworld at Facebook. And this year we have 3 brand new Power Wheels that are going to be raffled off before the event on Saturday. So
that's cool.
You can pick up tickets on Friday night during setup or Saturday until 2 p.m. and it'll be probably like $1 a ticket, $5 for 5 for 6 or an arm bike for 10.
Sure.
So get a chance there. I mean, brand new Power Wheel is going to cost you $400.
Right.
So we got a brand new F-150 Raptor. We've got a purple F-150 with flames on it for the girls. And we have possibly, I got a choice of 3 different ones for the other one, so I haven't figured out which one I want yet. We'll keep that one a surprise, though.
That's still pretty cool, raffling off those. And those are basically ready to go. They're going to be fully charged, and they could race those that day, right?
They will be brand new, put together, fully charged, and ready to go. The only thing, and we're going to include with the prize, the kids have to have like a helmet, like a bicycle helmet or whatever, but they have to have some kind of protection for their head. So,
sure.
Our insurance only requires that they have a bicycle helmet, so that's fine. I mean, you're moving 5 miles an hour across a linoleum floor. You probably want some head protection, right?
Something. You need something.
There you go.
But the RC Derby going to be Saturday at noon. We're going to be live up there in some element, along with Final Round Drag Racing Podcast going to be live up there as well. Crash Course is going to be live on Sunday morning to talk a little bit about the Demolition Derby side of things. The turnout and response as a whole, really, really, really strong this year. The Homemade Hall of Fame, that's one of my favorite parts of the show. Where people can bring their own memorabilia from home and just sort of enshrine their favorite drivers or show off some of the stuff that they've got. And we've harped on it before on other episodes, but the thing that really gets me is the fact that might be the only time that collection of memorabilia is together in the same spot. You've got the Hall of Fame where a lot of that stuff is there in one iteration or another. It might move shelves, but you can always sort of find it in the building. This might be the only time that you get a chance to see something because the person that owns it might not bring it out ever again.
Right, and it is unique stuff. I mean, like the Dirt Hall of Fame. Yes, we're setting up a huge display for the show this year, and we've got a bunch of fire suits from past drivers, and we got some big names out there too. Of course, we got Hurricane Steve Payne. We've got his fire suit that's going to be displayed there. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2017.
Yep.
I believe we have an Alan Johnson fire suit as well.
And he was inducted last year?
Yes, he was inducted this past year too, him and Freddie Adam.
Yep.
And so the collection of fire suits and jackets and shirts and stuff we're going to display. We've got tons of old programs. We're going to have videos showing all weekend at the Hall of Fame. But there's things that people have kept over the years in their personal collections that you're not going to see in a Hall of Fame.
Sure.
So that's a big thing as well. And we also have we're honoring somebody very special this year. Just want to let everybody know that you're not going to know till you get there. So you're going to have to go to the show to find out who we're honoring this year. But I can tell you that it's going to be a it's going to be a big thing. It's going to be a very emotional time for everybody.
Cool.
Speaking of emotional times, before I get rambling on here too much, we have the Syracuse Mile Tribute has come back this year.
Okay.
So
very nice.
That we've had a lot of people ask about it because we didn't do it last year. We did it the year before, and a lot of people asked. So we've decided to make it a staple with the show. It's going to be an annual event along with the show, the Syracuse Mile Tribute. We will show the video that we've got done up there, and we will continue as long as I can still get it. We will continue to do the Schaefer beer toast. So,
you're gonna have to keep cruising on eBay, find more and more of those cases.
It's in Rochester. You can go. You can. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too far, but you can go to Wright Beverage Distributor and you can pick it up there.
Is it?
But that's as far west as it comes. They do not sell it anywhere out here.
Yeah. Well, keep your finger on the pulse, I guess.
You call them and you say, I need this much Schaefer. They're like, Schaefer? Could we even sell that? I have to look it up. And, oh, yeah, we do. We have it right here.
Well,
so,
cool.
I think my footprints are still there from when I bought it 2 years ago.
Well, as long as you can get it, it does add a special element to the Mile Tribute. I remember 2 years ago, the big screen. I mean, it was a sheet hung on the wall that the projector was pointed at. It was just a gigantic screen playing footage from multiple different iterations of Super Dirt Week and the races that happened at the Syracuse Mile. It's now gone, turned into a camping area, parking lot / amphitheater / equestrian center / not racetrack, which is the biggest issue. So is that all now is going to be part of the regular offering of events, something that's just going to run continually through the course of the day, the footage, the videos, the stuff on the wall, stuff like that?
Well, here's what'll happen is normally we split this up, but I think what we're going to do this year is we're going to run the Syracuse Mile Tribute in the event center, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Number one, we have to have an alcohol vendor to be able to hand out the Schaefer beer, the Schaefer beer toast. So we're going to keep the alcohol vendor. They have to, because the mall is a public place, we have to keep all the alcohol in the event center. It cannot leave the event center.
Okay.
So we have Lakeland Winery on hand with us. They are going to be our vendor. So they will be there selling wine by the bottle and doing tasting, things like that to promote their business, Lakeland Winery on Schaefer Boulevard in Lakeland. And we'll have the theater set up in there so you can go in, and if you want to go in and have a beer and watch a race, you can go in and do that. So we'll have everything set up on the stage, and then when we're doing events in there, we'll kill the stage and we'll go about it, whatever we're doing for our events. But that'll be something to pass the time in between.
Perfect.
So you want to go in and watch Super Dirt Week 1980 and sit down with a nice cold Schaefer or whatever other beer we might have there, you'd be more than welcome to do that.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Adding the beer tent and the wine bar to the event center is going to be a cool addition.
Yep. So one piece at a time, and it's just coming together right now. I'm actually out grocery shopping right now doing this because I have no time, and I have to go home tonight, and I'm going to be in my garage until 2 a.m. putting 2 Power Wheels vehicles together so I can get the vinyl done on them during the week next week and everything else. So I've been making signs, and posters, and everything. So it's coming together, though.
That sounds good. I mean, it's upon us. It's a week from move-in is a week from tomorrow. Move-in is 6 o'clock on Friday night, and everybody's going to be fed again this year during their move-in process, and then the show opens with mall hours on Saturday morning. We'll have all sorts of different stuff going on Saturday morning. All the cars are going to be brought in from the lower entrance, correct?
Yeah, we come in the east entrance down there by Savannah Bank, and Frankie Dowell will be down there with the folks from Bass Pro Shops providing tow vehicle down there. They have the bad boy buggies, the electric buggies. You just can't drive through the mall.
Right.
And anybody who's ever pushed a race car knows that if the axles are in them, they don't push so hot. So
right.
Have your strap or your chain or whatever already hooked up. Just pull it up to the sidewalk. They go out with a buggy, you drop this thing on the hitch, and they pull you right in. Frank's usually got an air tank with him, too. If you got a tire that keeps going down or something like that, he can help you out.
Perfect.
And so, we took care of that. And I think between having your car towed in the mall and feeding people the night that you move your car in has probably got us 10 cars. So,
whatever it takes.
Anybody who's ever had my pulled pork barbecue knows. So...
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for it. I'm really looking forward to it. I know Jason from Final Round with Western New York Super Rod Association, they're looking forward to it. The Derby guys are excited to get back out there again. Sounds like we're going to have a pretty good representation of those guys. And otherwise, it remains to be seen. We'll see what else turns up, but there's always a couple surprises of who shows up at the door. So I know there's going to be a couple of those as well. I'm anxious to know who the honorees are for this year. It's going to be something to focus on as well.
Yep, I can't divulge it right now.
No.
We're just kind of keeping it under wraps, but I will tell you it'll be worth it. It'll definitely be worth it.
Jump on Facebook, look up Finger Lakes Speedworld. You can find all that information right on there, and basically just shoot a message and say, "Hey, we're coming." If you wanted to vend, a little bit different setup for the vendors as well this year, correct?
Yeah, we did a little bit with like motorsports related vendors have always been welcome at the show. Of course, Dave Axton will be there with High Side Racewear, and I have a couple other people have inquired, but nothing solid yet. But this year we have 2 store spaces that we have set aside for direct marketing, direct sale people that sell like Mom's got her own in-home business selling LuLaRoe or cosmetics or candles or whatever.
Sure.
And we were just selling vendor spots for $30 a piece, so people can come in and we can pay back a little bit of because the show just costs so much money to put on, and I just don't have it this year to fund the whole thing myself like I usually do. So that's going to help out a little bit. And so if anybody's interested in being a vendor, if you've got crafts you want to sell or whatever, $30 a spot get you in there, and just got a couple of forms you got to fill out for the mall,
right?
And that would take care of that.
Perfect. And the response to that's been pretty strong so far, correct?
Yeah, I've got 35 vendors already signed up for that.
Awesome. That's good.
Yep.
Good deal. Jim, I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll probably catch up with you next week as we get through the final run-up on Final Round when we get back together. Jason will be in studio. He's in Minnesota this week. That's why we're doing the Circle Track show right now. But we'll touch base one more time as we get ready for Finger Lakes Speedworld. We're looking forward to it.
All right, man. I'm getting excited.
Me too. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on.
For sure.
Your support is invaluable to me.
Well, we try to back the stuff that's good to us too. So we're looking forward to doing some live shows out there.
Awesome.
Jim, thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you.
There goes Jim Olin with Finger Lakes Speedworld, coming up March 3rd and 4th. At Finger Lakes Mall, easy to get to. Finger Lakes Mall. If you jump off the Waterloo exit, and then you can run 318 east, pick up 5 and 20, and then 20 will take you right to the front door at Bass Pro, and you're going to use the east entrance to get the cars in. They had to juggle around the Demolition Derby stuff a little bit because the turnout was so strong there. Ed Brewster is talking about coming up with JMW. Going to come up with his brand of RC Demolition Derby. It's going to be happening on Sunday afternoon. A lot of folks want to see that. And then that Power Wheels Racing is always popular on Saturday at 2 in the afternoon. I think that's going to do it for this one. We covered everything that we wanted to cover on the 31st lap, episode number 237 in the books here at the North Park building at Academy Square. We will be back again in 2 weeks. Look for us next Thursday when the final round is in the house with Jason Oldfield and myself. We'll see you then.